the big story out of this one was Simon Goodwin. But can we say significant victory from the coach's box? I mean, the strands are everywhere, gone in the ruck. Jack Viney on Caleb Sarong.
And selection as well. Selection
as well, which was brave, right? So it was an outstanding performance from him. Can we be categoric and say he's safe? Is Simon Goodwin safe? Is that performance enough? I know they got Richmond West Coast over the next two. Stephen Smith, the most relieved man in football, heads to the Mediterranean now, knowing that he is locked in for the foreseeable future in 2025. Can we stop talking about this man's position at the club?
Look, I don't think one win turns the whole pressure valve off. I mean, if they come out and they lose against Richmond and lose against West Coast, it will be ramped back on again. But clearly, it puts the Wolves at bay a little bit.
But it was the way they played today. That looks entirely different compared to the last month.
Yeah, and so if I'm a Melbourne player, I'm actually going, well, maybe we're not at where we actually thought we were last week. The stuff that we did today worked.
Tails up.
They played a brilliant brand of footy offensively, and we haven't seen this.
Let's give him some credit, right? So he takes the risk on playing 8 guys that have played less than 23 games of footy. Half your team, less than 23 games of footy. You don't win with young teams. Now, I know they've got experience through the midfield, but they were without Stephen May and Jake Lever today. So down back, vulnerabilities everywhere. They play a handball game that we haven't seen them play before. So they're evolving right before our eyes. So they're going through personnel shift and tactical shift. 2 real big challenges for any coach. I don't care who you are and how good the team is. So to get this response against good quality opposition, and we'll talk about those guys later on, whether they were good quality opposition today or not, but that's a big investment. And I just think the club, the hierarchy know behind the scenes that they're evolving, they're resetting in a lot of ways. I don't think they are the premiership model for this year. I don't think they are for next year, but I think what they're trying to do is, whilst these guys have still got footy in them, a bit like Collingwood, OK, can Petrarca and Oliver and Gawn, can they hang on for one more tilt when we punch 50 games into those guys that I just mentioned, that there were 6 or 8 off today, but probably another 3 or 4 on the sideline. So that's what I think they're rejigging for. I may be wildly wrong. If that's the case, of course they stick with Simon.
I think the most impressive thing out of today was the fact that last week they had 16 centre-bounce clearance for 1 point, and the way they moved the ball today shows that some of the players who we were questioning, can they play that role in the midfield? Can you play Petrarca, Viney and Oliver at centre bounce at the same time? Well, a lot of people are thinking no, but Clayton Oliver today, his handballing was something that I haven't seen from him today. He's a handballer.
Nothing's changed in terms of
and not a kicker.
In terms of the mix, though. I still think Petrarca's kicking was still a concern today, but Cozzy Pickett has a PB 24 touches. And he's in for the centre bounces right throughout the game. He was in there for 23 centre bounces. Like, he's the difference maker. He's the wild card. You've got to have him in there. They've been slow to the party with some of these things, but they're there now. Viney did a job on Sarong.
I was just about to say that. What about Jack Viney on Caleb Sarong? We loved that. Simon Goodwin told us that matchup was coming in the pre-game show.
Yeah.
And then also the first quarter of that matchup. So I think Sarong had about 5 disposals, Viney 8 and a goal. It really set the tone, didn't it?
Yeah, well, the game's won in the first 40 minutes. They led by 29 points, 5 goals very early, and they held Sarong, or Jack Viney held Sarong to 1 kick in that period of time. 0 clearances, 1 contested possession. He slaughtered him. He just took complete control of that matchup whilst having 10 disposals of his own, 3 clearances and that big centre bounce goal, which was huge to get this team up and rolling. So it does 2 things. It gives Viney a role, if he's prepared to do this, for the team going forward, a meaningful opportunity for Melbourne. And it also says if you want to clamp Fremantle and take away their heart and soul, you get the job done on Sarong. And it might not be for the whole game, but for a window.
It's a great point. Sarong, one of the best players, certainly one of the best midfielders in the competition. I think what this win showed today broadly is that Simon Goodwin has still got the players. And you guys know this a lot better than me. You saw Max Gawn's last quarter, you touched on it earlier, Kingy, the commitment from Jack Viney, the Kasai Pickett, the engagement and sparkle in the forward 50.
Well, let's hear from him, shall we? Because it's not the first time he's been under the pump and faced all this external noise, and he was asked about it post-game.
I don't listen to it. You know, I don't listen to it. As I said, I'm here committed to the Melbourne Footy Club and here to do the best possible job I can. And, you know, I believe I've got the credentials and the standing in the game to best lead this footy club forward. So I don't worry about it. You know, one thing I'm really strong with the players is that just to block out noise and that you don't let noise affect how you want to go about your job or your work or your commitment to your task. And I feel incredibly well supported, you know, by the president and the board about, you know, where I sit, my role within the footy club. And my job's to coach the club, coach the team, and coach our players to be the best they possibly can and make sure we value what's really important and to create something that we can grab hold of and keep moving forward.
It's always good to see a coach under the pump get a win like that. So congratulations to Simon Goodwin and his team. On the other side, it's Fremantle and where we sit tonight when it comes to the Dockers.
You can't trust them. You can't trust this football club. We said it before, won finals in the last 10 years. They've got all the tools. How good's this list? It's a top 4 list. They beat up on poor teams over there in Perth. They come here, they're a much better outfit than Melbourne, particularly in the form they're in. They'd be disappointed. And we'd speak on First Crack about them taking the game on and using the angles. Kingy, you've been massive on this. They've got to use their weapons. How many times do we see them kick long down the line to Gawn, etc. today? You know, maybe they thought, well, no May, no Lever. We can beat them aerially. Well, they're exposed, and I just don't know. I don't think you can trust this football club to be a top 4 side, and this will be the question on the power brokers' minds. We know the unusual sort of coaching arrangement or the situation with Justin Longmuir. He's on an employment agreement. It's a big year for this football club.
Do you still trust their list, Kingy? Because I know you're big on them.
What's wrong with their list?
No,
We're
are we overrating their list?
Give me who we're overrating.
Well, they've come to Melbourne and lost against Melbourne, who was 0-5.
Who do we give love to that we shouldn't?
Well, look, I look. Are we getting enough out of the outside the core 5? Like there's Sarong, Young, Brayshaw. Bolton was good for 3 quarters today. Is it the rest of them that we're not getting enough out
there
of?
are so many coaches who would love that list.
Some coaches give their right arm to have Tracy on their list. They've got an All-Australian calibre fullback and captain who's an outstanding competitor down there. I think they don't want for anything in terms of ground level.
So is it the coaching then? Because I look at today and go, well, how did they lose that? They have 2 chances at the MCG this year. That was one of them. They've got to wait till round 19 against Collingwood. So do you think
it's a list or you don't think it's a list?
Well, I just think their system's broken at the moment. I don't see them playing good enough footy on, well, especially away from home at the moment. And at the moment, their wins they're not cemented for mine.
What about the ruck battle? How do you see the ruck battle, Kingy? Because we know Luke Jackson's out of the team. He's coming in. Max Gawn was heroic today.
Huge.
And he destroyed Sean Darcy. How did you see that play out?
Well, I feel for Sean Darcy because he's been rushed back in probably before they would ideally like to play him last week and obviously today. And he just got destroyed in the last 10 minutes of the game. Max's last quarter was 10 disposals, 5 of those clearances. And they won the clearances 13-6 in that period. It was a separating factor in the game. Now, I'm not going to hang it all on Sean Darcy, but it makes you think, you know, is he absolutely going to be able to do it in a final against the better quality ruckman? Now, everyone tells me you don't need a gun ruckman to win a final, but gee, it helps. I mean, is it going to be Jackson or is it going to be Darcy? Is it going to be both? Are you sold on having the extra tool in there?
Are you
sold? They've got 20 weeks to find out, haven't they? That this is what the home and away season's all about. But their game didn't travel today. Like, they're normally a handball team that run and gun and get high metres game from handball, probably top 4 or 5 in the competition. Today they were a shell of that. Over 330 metres they normally get, they got 53 today. So they played a different brand. So why? Why play a different brand at the MCG? Why not find out whether your brand stacks up?
It was a missed opportunity, wasn't it? As you said, just one of 2 games to be played at the MCG this home and away season for Fremantle. Here is their coach post-game.
What's your immediate reaction today?
Disappointed. Disappointed with the way we played. Yeah, didn't think we were tough enough. Felt like didn't value the right things. Didn't defend our front half the way we wanted to defend our front half. I mean, would they have over 70 points at half-time? It's not the team we want to be. We still could have defended a lot better than what we did today. It started with the contest and our pressure and, the way we set up behind the ball just wasn't up to the usual standard.